whole purpose of the podcast is to help people live in balance, well-being, and joy. I call this series Uncomplicated because if we know how to put yourself first, create harmony, give back and share, and always keep reaching. Once you have that solid foundation, everything else falls into place. Welcome to the Kamit Podcast, the Uncomplicated series. I'm Doris Bogus, your host, and I want to welcome you along this journey with me. Welcome back to the Kamit Podcast, the Uncomplicated series. My name is Doris B., and I'm back in the studio with Marva Hanks, and she's going to join us for the last two episodes of the Kamit Code. In this episode, we're going to talk about Kamit Code 3, Give Back and Share. So hold on to your seats, everybody, because you're going to want to listen to every word. We're back, and now we're going to talk about giving and sharing. And I know that's pretty much your forte.
Oh, I love it. I think, as we have addressed talking about our identity, and I know that coming up, forgiveness is going to be one. And so I think that giving back is a way of worship for me, right? In my identity as a Christ follower, as a created being, I believe that it's our right and privilege as a human being to be able to uplift and give back in whatever way possible. So financially, we're able to give back. My husband and I, we have come into agreement that we want to give 10% back to the body of Christ, where we're lifted up in that way, educationally and morally. And then we also look around in our community and see how we can give back. And we do our best to vet entities that are already doing what we don't have to put our hand to. So we enjoy that and enjoy being able to see the fruit of that. And people that are trustworthy in putting their hand to reproducing themselves, whether it be in time, talent, or treasure, and that they're able to teach someone their same gift or talent, elevate someone, put someone on a path for producing legacy in their lives by owning homes or being able to pursue their passion and also create revenue income streams from that. So there's so many ways to give back. And I remember when I first wanted to put this principle in place, my husband has always been the primary breadwinner. I say that I married well. That's a joke, but it's for real. But what I had was time on my hands. And so I wanted to commit serving at nonprofits with just my time and help, whether it's serving a plate, whether it was getting order to chaos in a pantry somewhere or giving clothes. But yeah, time is what I had to give. And then when we became disciplined in our finances, being able to give financially is one way of giving back.
So that's interesting. So why is that so important to you? I mean, what motivates you to do that? Because many people would say, well, this is a thankless job. I don't get anything back.
Interesting.
What motivates you to do that?
So motivation came from my surroundings. So I did get to spend a lot of wonderful time with my grandparents. So even being raised in the country, they always planned it enough to be able to take care of our household, but also to be able to give. I remember that being instilled. So whatever you put your hand to, you would create enough, whether it was in the harvest, to be able to give to others. So you planned, it was part of your lifestyle. You planned to give. And so being that modeled out for me, I know that my grandfather lived to be 96 years old, and like I had adored him. And that was always a principle that he had. And also it was instilled with my father as well. They were all Christ followers, disciplined. My father said that I would always have if I had planned to give. It's a Bible principle, and it's a principle that in the scriptures, the Lord says, test me in that. And so it's in Malachi 3. So it's a principle that God divinely gives us to test him. So it's a law of reciprocity. So if I give at whatever level I'm able to give, I will always have. And so that is modeled out for me oftentimes in the Bible, from the widow to a single mom to those with ample means. It starts with the heart. So I was preconditioned with my heart. I had it modeled out in front of me. I took ownership of that as a young adult with little, and then the temptation to conserve and hang on tight when you get more. That was really, I failed that pop quiz. and learned the principle had to be reinstilled with me is that you plan to give so that you can always get back and you'll always have.
Wow, that's amazing. So what would you say to someone that did not grow up with that planting and giving and receiving mentality? What if you grew up in lack and it was, I got to get mine and I don't have any extra to give to you, or if you have more than me, I'm jealous or
I'm glad that you brought that up because currently I'm walking with a group of women who it's a new principle for them. And so I'm walking alongside them and we're doing a 15-month journey with another entity, another nonprofit, for them just to start working on this principle to save $250 a month. And then that at the end of the 15 months, their savings gets matched by a local bank, right? But we are walking this principle out. So it has been delightful to see that if they would just try the principles of living a blessed life, living in lack is distilled down into seeds of fear. And so I will always tell you, and we talked off camera about the Bible is my final authority. And so I will always divert back to that. So that is what works for me. And so it distills back to the Garden of Adam and Eve when the tempter had a conversation with Eve and made her believe that she was in lack when everything was provided for. And so I will always willingly walk a person back, male or female, to like, who told you that you were in lack? And it really is to get their eyes off of their circumstances and to actually reimagine, as we talked about in one of your first episodes, reframe what they have in their hand and to start with that. And so it will distill down with fear. You're going to address fear. You're going to address trusting God. People like to say a higher power. I like to say it's God, is Yahweh. And then you get to reimagine how you're going to trust humanity even after you may have been burned. But the principles are tried and true. And so I want to live a long, healthy, abundant life because I saw it lived out in front of me. And I believe that it is something that can be duplicated.
And you were motivated, sounds like from the heart, to perpetuate that.
Yes.
And that's what's needed more of in the world. And I want to say I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, how did you come up with making this one of your principles?
Because I know I just look around in nature, which I like to spend a lot of time, and that's just the way, that's nature, and we're part of nature. Everything is created, as you say, by God. So I see that happening in nature unasked. The birds are fed, the trees grow of themselves. And when we're born, we take that in breath. We receive something first, unasked for. That's so important and key to life. So that's a principle that I started with. And I thought to myself, what can I do? Just being you spoke about my background, my humble background. What can I do to get that feeling or give back that appreciation from the origins? Of just being given the breath of life. How can I perpetuate that? And then I thought of all the basic ways that people normally think of to give. But then one that was hard for me, and I didn't realize it just until recently, was I don't easily forgive. And that can be something that you can grant or give to people, and that frees you up and that frees them up. It frees them from guilt. It frees them from it just letting the burden down. And so that's why I thought about using this as a means to excavate all the past mistakes and trials as a way to live, which my end goal is balance, well-being, and joy.
I love it because I hear you saying you can give grace and forgiveness, something that may not be deserved in our menu, in our scale of life, in our ebb and flow. But we have the capacity to give grace where it may not seem deserved. And so that addresses your forgiveness.
Yeah. And that's what I come to find that was the hard part. Who am I to say you don't deserve forgiveness?
Absolutely.
No, I had to come to that, though.
Mm-hmm.
I had to come to that because when you're hurt or wounded, that's not your first reaction.
Mm-mm.
But you're going to carry that hurt around, and it's going to impact the way you deal with people and the way you address and frame life. So you've got to do it for yourself.
Right. So someone gave you hurt, but you don't have to keep it.
You don't have to keep it. Exactly. Give that gift right back.
Right. Return to sender.
Right back to it. Yeah, exactly.
Return to sender.
Exactly.
Well, I think this is a delightful principle. Was there any one specific incident that made you lean into this giving principle?
Oh my goodness. Recently?
Yeah,
or
always recently. Personal application. Yes.
Yeah,
Are these principles should be a product of you?
Yeah, and it took me a minute to get over this last one, but it was a situation where I moved into a place and it was a hate-filled, prejudiced place. And it was made known that you were not wanted here. And I'm not the person that's going to say, you can't tell me what to do. And I stuck it out. But the things that happened, and this is the first time I'm telling this story, the things that happened.
Okay, it's just between us.
Yeah. And I held on to it. But now, they don't care anything about my feelings, and it was worrying me to the point that I was taking it out or framing everything else around that. And I had to let it go. And I've made peace with it, I guess, is another.
So do you feel freer? Do you feel lighter? Or do you feel like there's
freer.
some stain still attached?
No, I feel freer. It's like a physical weight gone. And now I'm able to move and make room for bigger and better.
Make room.
Yeah.
Make room. Another principle of giving away or cleaning out or clearing out was to make room, because I like new things. But so it will make you do physical inventories. Like how can I bless other people with this? Now, my husband and I have a light banter back and forth because it's like, that's good stuff. Well, why can't I give somebody something good? Why do I have to wait for it to be trash to release it and let it go? And so you can there's so many ways we can make room in our lives to be a free flowing conduit of his love.
And the thing that I love about this code, the give back and share, is just it doesn't take much. It takes a look, a gesture, a kind word. You never know what that might do for someone else. I remember taking an exercise class, and I've shared with you that I was overweight. And, you have the courage to, take off a certain thing or, and you think you're looking all great, and then you hear laughter. But then the instructor, just with the chin up and gesture like that, with kindness in the time that you need. So you never know what you can do or say just with a look. The kind word at the right time is better than silver carvings. Don't they say something like that in the Bible? So that's a small way you can give back.
Looks, your countenance is what you're saying.
What you bring to the room. Yeah, and it's important to keep your baggage out. Don't approach a situation, and sometimes that's hard, but put your burden down at the door before you enter. You don't want to put that energy on someone else.
That would be great.
So you give peace that way.
Bring peace with you.
Bring peace with you. Yes.
That's awesome. What else do you want our audience to know this week about your principle?
That you too can give in small and big ways. Give whatever you have. Like you said, if you know how to play an instrument, teach somebody for free that can't afford the lessons. Or if you have wisdom, advice, make sure you ask first if the advice is needed. But you can give advice to someone, coach someone, small ways. Take somebody by the hand and show them the way. Just small things like that. Give back. And you never know what the impact is going to be on someone.
Well, I know that I am on the receiving end of your podcast. And so I appreciate being on the Kamit Code and Kamit Podcast Uncomplicated series today.
Thank you very much. And I'll see you next episode.
I'm looking forward to it.
I want to thank you again for tuning in to this third podcast, Give Back and Share. And I'll see you next week with Marva, Hanks, and myself, where we'll delve into the last Kamit Code, expansion and growth. I'll see you next episode, and remember, treat yourself well.